Y mientras después parece reinar de nuevo la calma, podemos quedarnos extasiados ante esta vista de nuestras Malvinas.
Argentina's position on the Falklands crisis. Cuba's current support for Argentina is a 180-degree turn from the usual animosity directed toward the military government. And U.S. sources here see the foreign minister's trip as an attempt to send a clear signal to Washington that Argentina is willing to ally itself with Cuba and the Soviet Union should the U.S. persist in its strong backing of Great Britain. At the airport this morning, Costa Méndez told reporters Argentina would not budge on the question of sovereignty, and said Argentine troops on the islands would not give up. One of the aides traveling with Costa Méndez is Foreign Ministry Cabinet Chief Gustavo Figueroa. Last night he talked about what might happen if the British win the battle for the Falklands.
If Argentina should be defeated, which I don't want to think of it because I don't believe it's possible, but if they should be defeated, we would go on with a big diplomatic offensive, denouncing this colonialistic aggression made by the British, which we believe is absolutely unacceptable in the 20th century.
A high-ranking government official told CBS News that a British victory on Port Stanley would only be the beginning of a longer war, one which might bring Argentina closer to the Soviet Union. In his words, a continuation might make it necessary to go and buy weapons somewhere else. We might have to purchase MiGs if necessary, and I suppose the Russians would be very willing to sell them. Charles Gomez, CBS News, Buenos Aires.
Más usted viaja con destino al Teatro de Operaciones Sur.
Efectivamente, respondiendo a una invitación del señor comandante de la Fuerza Aérea, Brigadier Lamidoso, viajo con el señor jefe del Estado Mayor General de la Fuerza Aérea, Brigadier García, al Teatro de Operaciones.
¿Regresa mañana a la tarde?
Sí, vamos a visitar varias brigadas aéreas, vamos a conversar con los jefes militares que están actuando en el Teatro de Operaciones y regresamos mañana a la tarde.
Las últimas novedades, el último parte de guerra, señor ministro, que usted tiene.
Bueno, creo que en esta materia conviene ajustarse estrictamente a los comunicados del Estado Mayor Conjunto porque la situación, como ustedes saben, es de tensa espera y entonces conviene no aventurar opiniones que no provengan de una fuente debidamente informada como es el Estado Mayor Conjunto.
¿Se ha comprobado ya las serias averías al Invencible?
El gobierno inglés ha reconocido las averías del Invencible, si bien ha tratado de minimizarlas. Se me ocurre pensar que si realmente fueran mínimas, no hubieran tenido necesidad de aceptar el ataque.
Señor ministro, usted dijo recién tensa expectativa. ¿Esto quiere decir que se esperan horas decisivas, la batalla final?
Esto quiere decir que se está en el estado de alerta, de alistamiento, que las condiciones exigen para afrontar cualquier otro ataque bélico de la potencia colonialista.
Estamos en condiciones y estratégicamente hablando, sin revelar secretos, igual que el 1 de mayo.
Desde luego, estamos en condiciones de operabilidad, de carácter militar y en condiciones morales y espirituales, cada vez más convencidos de la justicia y del derecho que nos asiste.
paz sin razón ni justicia le han hecho.
La Argentina no renuncia a su doctrina de corte libertario y republicano en esta actitud.
No tiene sostenes para la Argentina en las organizaciones internacionales. Ya ahora este movimiento canciller está preso en Argentina.
The hospital ship Helka carried a controversial human cargo. Not the 18 British wounded on board the British ship, but 24 wounded Argentinians. It is alleged that some of them are survivors of the fishing boat Narwhal, a boat the British claim was a spy ship. These soldiers are on their way home. 2 months have passed since these soldiers took Port Stanley. Neither they nor their enemy thought they'd be here that long. These are the latest government pictures of the battle for Port Stanley, where the Argentinians are pinned down with their backs to the sea. The British, tempered with more respect now for their foe than they had 2 months ago, must be wondering, will they surrender easily because of weakened morale, or lash out with the ferociousness of a cornered lion? The British aircraft are up against blowpipe missiles and surface-to-air missiles. They've already tasted the fire from more conventional anti-aircraft guns. The British have their Sea Kings, the Argentinians American-made Bell helicopters. Ground artillery, similar to their own, awaits them. Security has surrounded the nature of this artillery, but Argentinians are known to have high numbers of 105mm cannons. Clearly, the Argentine army is outgunned both from land and from sea. Britain has underestimated its firepower before. It can't afford to launch a final assault until it is sure it is ready. David Burt, CBC News, Buenos Aires.
The weather in Buenos Aires and the news from the battlefront were equally gloomy today. The headline said, Army poised to defend Puerto Argentino, Stanley. But the Argentines, sophisticated, able to read between the lines, know their forces are in trouble, that this may be it. Last night, Argentine television showed some new pictures of the fighting around Stanley, further evidence that a final, bloody battle may be near. An excited reporter described attempts to shoot down British Harrier jets.
Sea Harriers están atravesando el cielo por sobre Puerto Argentino y a su encuentro van los proyectiles de nuestra artillería antiaérea. Vemos que las estelas se adelantan a los proyectiles y mientras se afina la puntería casi podemos ver que le están por pegar. Su altura parecería que es lo suficiente como para hacerlo.
There seems to be a shift in the way the war is being reported to the Argentine public. Hints that this country may have to accept the possibility of defeat. Still, the officials talk in uncompromising terms. As he was leaving for a meeting of non-aligned nations in Cuba, Foreign Minister Nicanor Costa Méndez said Argentina will never give up its claim of sovereignty over the islands.
Transferred immediately to another ship bound for Buenos Aires. They had been aboard the fishing boat Narwhal May 9th when it was attacked by the British, who said it was a surveillance vessel. Argentina claimed at the time the crew had been strafed in life rafts, a claim obviously refuted by their presence today. Argentina tonight is a country waiting. Few, if any, here expect success from last-minute diplomatic efforts. No one here expects Argentina to give up without a fight. In short, there appears no real hope for avoiding more bloodshed in the islands. Barry Seraphin, ABC News, Buenos Aires.
Gracias, señor, muy amable.
Gracias a usted. Buenos días.
Y la conversación con la señora embajadora Kirkpatrick fue totalmente realista. Yo le pinté un cuadro de cuál es nuestra situación y nuestra posición, y a su vez ella también me dio a conocer sus puntos de vista.
Argentina tonight is a country waiting. Few, if any, here expect success from last-minute diplomatic efforts. No one here expects Argentina to give up without a fight. In short, there appears no real hope for avoiding more bloodshed in the islands. Barry Seraphin, ABC News, Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires thundered with the cheers of thousands of demonstrators after the successful invasion of the Falklands on April 2nd. For the first time since the British used military force to take the islands from Argentina in 1833, they were once again known as the Malvinas. But the jubilation faded as Argentina faced an angry British response. A powerful task force was sent, and London threatened all-out war unless the troops were removed from the islands. During the last 2 months, Argentina has remained firm in its demands for sovereignty over the islands. The British have responded with air raids like this one, purported to have taken place since British troops landed on East Falkland Island. The bombs are reportedly from Sea Harriers, now based at Port San Carlos on the other side of the island. Exactly 2 months after they reclaim the islands, Argentina's forces find themselves surrounded by British troops in the capital city. The British can reportedly see the brightly colored houses and roofs from their positions 2 miles away. This videotape, released by the government, allegedly shows Argentine anti-aircraft fire aimed at raiding Sea Harriers. Most of the residents in Puerto Argentino or Port Stanley have left. The streets are empty. Only an estimated 250 of this town's original 1,000 residents have decided to stay. Troops here have been told they may fight to the death against the British in the fiercest bloodbath of this undeclared war. But there have been signs that Argentina may try to return to the negotiating table, and these troops must wait for those orders. Each day draws them closer to a major battle that will decide who controls these islands, and it appears appears the British are in a better position. That feeling is reflected here in the capital city as well, where news reports suggest the seriousness of the situation and quote military sources saying, no matter what happens, Argentina is already winning, and that this war could go on for years. But there is a mood of pessimism here, and other than the generals, few enjoy talking about a war that could last indefinitely. People here wonder what will happen next for Argentina. Even though they fully support this country's claim to the islands, they wonder if it might not be better to save lives by surrendering now. But so far, there is no clear signal that Argentina will surrender without a fight. And the question which remains is whether or not the military regime here in Buenos Aires can purchase the peace with honor it's been talking about over the last 2 months without spilling more blood at Puerto Argentino. Jim Clancy, CNN, Buenos Aires. They don't have the satellite.
Get away from the camera. You just fucked up my focus. Just get away. That's great, isn't it? You're on a wide shot.
We're panicking here in Buenos Aires.
Package should never been filmed. What was the problem? They took us once. We didn't pass.
They asked me if
Stand by.
Well, it's not at all clear at this point. In fact, in looking at the situation right now, Argentina has sent, of course, a delegation to the United Nations, which is one sign that they at least want to talk, that there is something left that might be negotiated between the two sides that could very possibly be a surrender. Meanwhile, on the islands today, the British troops pounded the Argentine positions in and around Port Stanley, but there was no major action reported on the ground. Well, that's, of course, the reports that we're hearing as well here in Buenos Aires, but there's no guarantee that the British won't move ahead at any time, certainly. And Argentina at this point, Buenos Aires, is very pessimistic about the situation. They're not at all sure that Argentina can buy the peace with honor that it would like to have without more bloodshed at Puerto Argentino. And so at this point it appears that they are facing the real possibility of going into a battle. Why don't they let us ever give a report?
We're clear and good night. Thank you very much.
You know, the question...
Quito this morning, a British hospital ship pulled into Montevideo, Uruguay to release 24 captured Argentine sailors. As they departed, one of them waved at his former captors. These men were from the vessel Narval, which the British believe was on a spy mission. The hospital ship also carried 19 British wounded who will be flown home tonight. George Lewis, NBC News, Buenos Aires.
A ship with an unusual passenger list. It carried British and Argentines from the war zone to Uruguay today. 18 wounded British, 24 captured Argentines, some of them wounded. They would soon be home. The British by air, the Argentines by sea. In Buenos Aires today, a mass was set for those who would not return. Young men, boys of good faith, said the priest. Heroic examples to the homeland, martyrs. The mood in this capital is dark. No longer is there any talk of victory. However, there is some talk at the highest levels of this military government about a possible daring attempt to turn the battle around by launching a major paratrooper assault from the mainland. It's been clear here since last night that there was no hope that a final diplomatic breakthrough would end the war.
The signals we are getting are not very positive from the British side. We believe they believe more in war than in negotiations.
Today, as the ranking foreign affairs ministers flew to Havana to cement friendships at a meeting of the so-called non-aligned nations, Argentina prepared what it said would be a worldwide diplomatic offensive against Great Britain. This is where the final battle for the Falklands is expected to take place, the capital, Port Stanley, or Puerto Argentino. These pictures reportedly were taken a few days ago and show a British air attack. Argentina expects the final battle to begin here at any time. Morton Dean, CBS News, Buenos Aires.